Back with some serious information, y'all. Y'all probably already seen the Redskins preseason schedule, which I'm gonna give y'all just in case, but we are here for this regular season schedule release. I'll also take a little dive into each opponent and analyze what we will be dealing with throughout this regular season, a real analysis and breakdown of each opponent we face, their weaknesses and strengths, how they looked last year, and what they've done to improve throughout this offseason. Who have they signed, bad or good? Who made a draft? Let's get it. To start this off, the Redskins preseason schedule was released a couple of weeks back, but just to sprint through this, especially for those who already know, we faced the Cleveland Browns, then the Cincinnati Bengals, then the Atlanta Falcons, and then we'll finally get some sort of starter versus starter action in the final preseason game against the Baltimore Ravens. And for the regular season, now y'all already know we play the division rivals, the rusty old Giants, the crusty old Eagles, and the dusty old Cowboys twice every season. It's just a matter of when, what weeks, and what order. The most important things I've been waiting to find out are, do we play on Thanksgiving, and when is our bye week? Because the NFL been doing this dirt with these early bye weeks the past few years. I have all of that and more coming up right now. No more rambling. Let's get straight to it. Week 1, we play the Eagles in Philly at 1 p.m. on Sunday, September 8th. The Philadelphia Eagles made some great moves over the offseason. First of all, they got Deshaun Jackson back and a 7th round pick for a 6th round pick. If he has anything left in the tank, I mean anything, that's a huge steal. They also got a stud running back in Jordan Howard from Chicago for just a conditional 6th round pick? Like what? Whose family is being held hostage to get these deals done? They also signed defensive end Vinny Curry to a ridiculously team-friendly 1-year deal. Like what's going on? They got safety Andrew Sendejo on a very team-friendly deal too. He's up there in age and isn't reliable health-wise, but when healthy, he can play at a Pro Bowl level. They were also smart to re-sign All-Pro center Jason Kelce, shut down cornerback Ronald Darby, and offensive tackle Jason Peters to nice 1-year deals, some prove-it contracts. They lost inside linebacker Jordan Hicks, but signed a decent replacement, LJ Fort, to a deal so friendly I'm sick. I don't expect him to make game-changing plays, but he's a solid pickup to fill a big need. They may get a better linebacker in the draft next week. And then another slept-on pickup is their signing of defensive tackle Malik Jackson from the Jaguars. He was a great player a couple of years ago, but he had a big drop-off last year. If he is done, then this signing is terrible for how much money it is, but if he can be as good as he was in 2016 and 2017, then this signing just adds to the Eagles' already dominant offseason. They also re-signed defensive end Brandon Graham to a 3-year, $40 million contract, and I'm interested in seeing if he can stay healthy to be as game-changing as he can be. And the thing that a lot of people forget about, Nick Foles is gone. He went to the Jaguars on a fat contract. So if Carson Wentz gets hurt, like he has done over and over again, especially late in the season, who would they go to for the bailout? Nate Sudfeld? They'll probably draft somebody late in the draft just to bring in some competition for this backup position. I'm surprised they didn't go get somebody like Case Keenum, because this backup position will more than likely turn into a starting position. And I like Wentz, so I don't wish injuries on him, but he definitely has a pattern that he's showing. And looking into the past, the Eagles beat us down both times we faced them last year. We were already at the point of most hurt team in the NFL by the time we even played them the first time. But there's still no excuse for getting diddy bop like that. They got us out the paint early both games. Never felt like we had a chance in either of them. But we'll see them in a few months. Starting the 2019 regular season off right. Gonna get a season opener dub in Philly. Like what's happening? Week 2, we play the Cowboys in Landover, Maryland at 1 p.m. on Sunday, September 15th. The Dallas Cowboys broke the bank to keep DeMarcus Lawrence, who had surgery on his shoulder very recently, so he may miss some time or maybe a little off to start the season. They also picked up solid starting safety George Yaloka to a team-friendly contract, which was a great move. They signed quite a bit of people, but most notably defensive end Robert Quinn, who was a dominant force just a couple of years ago and just had an off year last year, probably because of the defensive system he played in. The signing of tackle Christian Covington, a very good run stopper with no pass rushing ability, is pretty underrated. Without being able to rush the passer, they signed him to a very team-friendly deal, which makes a lot of sense. They also picked up wide receiver Randall Cobb, and we got to see if he's on his last leg or not. They let Cole Beasley go, so Cobb will be battling Allen Hurns, Michael Gallup, and Tavon Austin for playing time because we already know how diddly that Dak to Amari Cooper connection was. Cooper is clearly the #1 receiver. I'm expecting Allen Hurns and Michael Gallup to get more looks than Randall Cobb, but we'll see. Zeke is clearly the starting bell cow running back, and the offensive line should be back to its dominant form with Connor Williams starting to develop and Travis Frederick set to return in 2019 after missing the 2018 season due to his battle with an autoimmune disease that affects the nervous system. Also, people forget the Cowboys now have a new offensive coordinator. They fired Scott Linehan and promoted Kellen Moore to offensive coordinator. We have to wait and see if this is an improvement or regression though. And of course for the Cowboys, they always have some player antics. Defensive end David Irvin retired because he was tired of being suspended for weed and believes it should be legal within the NFL. That's a whole nother debate and a whole nother video though. Also, tight end Jason Witten unretired to return with the Cowboys. He realized he ain't have it like Tony Romo with the commentating team, but Reuben Foster got something for him, with Witten getting out of his body and coming at Reuben all kinds of crazy months ago. But watch out for that great linebacker core they have too though. The Cowboys have Jalen Smith and Leighton Vander Esch, who was putting in work last year. And y'all already know how good Sean Lee is, but it's just a matter of if he'll be healthy enough to play, which isn't often. Also, the Cowboys don't have a first-round pick after trading for Amari Cooper. Their first pick in this year's draft comes 58th overall. And looking into the past, we beat the Cowboys in a nail-biter 20-17 when we were mostly healthy. Then in the second meeting, when we almost had no team left, Amari Cooper and company did us filthy. The score was 23-31, but the game never really felt like it was that close. Felt like 60-7 to me. But we'll see how these two matchups go this coming season. Hopefully we can have two fully healthy teams, both games, and truly see who's better. Us. Week 3, we play the Bears in Landover at 8:15 on Monday, September 23rd. The Chicago Bears went out in such a terrible way last year in the playoffs. Their kicker let Nas down. He threw such a great and promising season down the drain. Even though it should have never been on him anyway. The offense should have played better. But anyway, this team is loaded on defense. I mean, they have a Georgia dog in Roquan Smith, so why wouldn't they be? And their offense may be improving. They traded away their lead back, Jordan Howard, to the Eagles. I hate them for that move because now we have to deal with him twice a year. But they signed Seattle third-string running back Mike Davis, and they may be drafting a running back late in the first or with one of their 2 second-round picks to fill that running back void. Signing-wise, though, the Eagles re-signed edge Aaron Lynch to a team-friendly deal. He's behind Khalil Mack and Leonard Floyd, but he's solid in the rotation for run support. Also important to us, the Bears are the ones who took Ha-Ha Clinton-Dix from us. At first, I didn't really want him because I thought we would have to pay him good money, but no. This man went out there and signed a 1-year, $3.5 million deal, which is a super steal. He claimed he did it because he wanted to play on a contending team. But a big loss that the Bears suffered was safety Adrian Amos going to the Packers. They're definitely going to feel his presence not being there next year. And they signed cornerback Buster Skrine for too much money. Like, way too much. Looking into the past, the last time we played the Bears, we washed them 41-21 in 2016. That was the game where we were intercepting everything, I believe. We had like 5 interceptions or something. That was a hilarious game to watch. But the Bears defense is a completely different animal since we played them in 2016. And there is no way possible for the offense to be as bad as it was in 2016. It has to be at least a little bit better. They can't go down anymore. The only way is up from that. We will definitely be underdogs walking into this game, but don't count us out at all. Our defense is projected to be great, and our offense has potential. Week 4, we play the Giants in New Jersey at 1 p.m. on Sunday, September 29th. The New York Giants gave away a lot of their primary assets for draft capital. Wide receiver Odell Beckham and edge Olivier Vernon are gone to the Browns. In return, they gained safety Jabril Peppers, who's very promising, guard Kevin Zeitler, and a 2019 first-round pick, 17th overall, and a third-round pick, 95th overall. We took Landon Collins from them, hooray, and we also took offensive lineman Eric Flowers from them too, boo. They went and got a really good slot receiver in Golden Tate on a 4-year deal, and he's no Odell Beckham, but he should still be pretty good. They re-signed Sterling Shepard to too much money in my opinion. He's making more money overall than Golden Tate. Just not as much guaranteed by a very small margin though. and he's not as good or as proven as Golden Tate. Also, the Giants have a very promising franchise-changing running back in Saquon Barkley, who is of course still there, and they're kicking it with Eli for at least another season. But we will have to see what they do with the draft. Will they draft a quarterback in the first round, or will they reel in a bunch of good to great non-quarterback talent? As it stands right now, even though people are saying they are a terrible team, don't sleep on them now. You never know with the Giants. They lost some big names, but they picked up a lot of good people on really good contracts. They signed defensive end Marcus Golden and safety Antoine Bethea to great deals, like really good cheap deals. Their offense may take a step backwards, especially without a new quarterback with some hope, but their defense may be slightly improved, even without Olivier Vernon and Landon Collins. If they don't go quarterback with their 3 top 37 picks, they could haul in some great defensive talent. We'll see though. This team will only go as far as offensive line and Eli Manning will allow it to go though. And looking at the last time we played them, we dominated them in the first meeting, even though the score doesn't really show it, 20-13. But then the second game, the Redskins barely had any offensive starters left. The defense was beat and banged up. We had Mark Sanchez start, get benched, and then threw Josh Johnson out there to the Wolves in his first NFL action in years. Josh Johnson made the huge L a little bit less embarrassing, but it was still a wash any way you look at it. We got diddy-bopped, 40-16. But that second game will not repeat this season. That's facts. Moving on. Week 5, we play the Patriots in Landover at 1 p.m. on Sunday, October the 6th. The New England Patriots do what they do, man. They won 3 of the last 5 Super Bowls. Every time we think Tom Brady is too old and done, he does it again, even though he definitely isn't in great quarterback form anymore. But he's good enough to lead them to Super Bowl victories. But he definitely was not the main reason they were winning games last year. That was definitely Bill Belichick. Can't count them out no matter how trash their roster looks on paper. But the Patriots have made some offseason moves. They signed Demaryius Thomas, who used to be a great receiver a few years ago, but he's had some off years recently, and he's coming off a pretty bad injury. The Patriots also took nose tackle Mike Pennell from the Jets. He isn't a good pass rusher at all, but he does a great job of stopping the run. And they got him for a very team-friendly 2 years, $5 million deal. They also signed our wide receiver Maurice Harris. Now watch him go over there and just ball out. I swear for gracious, I'll be so upset. And they got tight end Austin Safarian-Jenkins on a 1-year prove-it deal for less than $1 million. With Gronk retiring, they hope Austin can at least bandage up some of the damage, and they are paying him pennies to do so. But the Patriots did lose offensive tackle Trent Brown to the Raiders, who was a huge reason for their success last season. But other than that, they've been doing well this offseason, coming fresh off of another Super Bowl title, of course. And with their offensive line being one of the best in the league, Tom Brady should have plenty of time to throw them ducks he was throwing last year. Last time we played the Patriots, they slumped us up 27-10 in 2015. It's been 4 years. Time to play them again. We need that rematch. We are definitely a better team than 2015. And Tom Brady is easily nowhere near as good as he was in 2015, but the Patriots are still the Patriots, so they will be heavily favored amongst the media. I'm not scared of them though, and our defense is about to be the best it's been in a long time, and our offense might be able to make some shake. So I'm looking forward to see how we match up against this juggernaut of a franchise. Week 6, we play the Dolphins in Miami at 1 p.m. on Sunday, October 13th. The Miami Dolphins are openly tanking for a quarterback in the 2020 draft, or maybe until they can get Trevor Lawrence in the 2021 draft. Who knows? But I say all of this to say that they will more than likely be an average to bad team. It looks like they are sacrificing the 2019 season, but even if they aren't, their team is not built to win games. They signed Ryan Fitzpatrick, which is very troublesome because he's good enough to win you some games and make it look like you aren't trying to tank, but he's also bad enough to not win the games you need him to win to make a real run for a playoff berth. And he's going to have an even worse supporting cast in Miami than he did in Tampa Bay. But one thing I know for sure, he is exciting. He will slang it around. He's Brett Favre with less talent. But I also don't understand why they didn't just go get a high-ceiling, low-floor quarterback. But hey, with how much Ryan Fitzpatrick is slanging it, at least they'll be able to sell tickets. I might tune in for a couple of games. He is exciting to watch. And they'll be able to mask their tanking with him going out there throwing like his life depends on it. Also, The Dolphins re-signed wide receiver Devontae Parker to an ugly 2-year, $13 million contract. He doesn't even try hard to get better. And they just gave him a deal that's anything but team friendly and anything but a 1-year prove-it deal. Also, the Dolphins went and signed tight end Dwayne Allen, who doesn't offer much in the passing game at all, for $7 million over 2 years. It's not a lot of money, but it's still somehow an overpay. And as I mentioned earlier, the Dolphins gave Robert Quinn to the Cowboys for 2020 conditional 6th round pick. He had a bad season last year, but I don't feel like he just suddenly fell off that bad. I blame the defensive system he played in last year. The only good thing about this trade for the Dolphins, though, is that they cleared up a big contract and at least got a 6th round pick when they were already planning to cut him for free anyway. The Dolphins also traded away ex-franchise quarterback Ryan Tannehill along with a 2019 6th round pick for a 2019 7th round pick and a 2020 4th round pick. This trade isn't bad for them because they finally knew it was time to pull the plug on the Tannehill experiment, and they at least got a 4th round pick out of it instead of just cutting them for free. Looking into the past, the last time we played the Dolphins, which was in 2015, we lost 17-10. I definitely expect us to be a better team walking into this game though, but don't sleep on them. Even though they are tanking, I highly doubt they'll go 0-16, and we do not want to be one of their victims. But I do expect us to win this game, and I have a picture of the Super Bowl we beat them in, just to flex on them real quick. Week 7, we play the 49ers in Landover at 1 p.m. on Sunday, October 20th. The San Francisco 49ers are a confusing team. Just like us, there's a lot of hope and expectations that got derailed by injuries to the most important players on the team, so it's hard to truly gauge how good they are. Jimmy G is supposed to be the savior over there, but he hasn't been able to start a full season for us to know for sure. But what we do know, the 49ers have made some good moves this offseason. They were able to take cornerback Jason Verrett from the Chargers and sign him to a 1-year prove-it deal that's very team-friendly. When healthy, he is a Pro Bowl cornerback, easy. But his biggest problem is when he is healthy. He is very injury-prone. He has played in 5 games out of the last 48 possible games he could have played in. That's crazy. But if he can stay healthy, they just picked up a top corner in the league for pennies to go on the other side from Richard Sherman. They also got Atlanta's running back Tevin Coleman to be their dynamic 3rd down back. Coleman and Kyle Shanahan were in Atlanta together just a couple of years ago when they went to the Super Bowl. Coleman is very dynamic and is on a contract that doesn't do much damage to the 49ers pockets. And with Devontae Freeman injured a lot of last year, Tevin Coleman actually showed that he can be a 3-down back. But one move they made that still confuses me to this day is how much they paid linebacker Quan Alexander to join their team. They made an injury-prone, decent when healthy linebacker the richest off-ball linebacker to ever do it in this league. That's just crazy to me. I hope he's everything they hope for. I wonder if Cash Click, Bug, and Yada signed off on this one. I wonder how the Bay feels about this. But back to the good news, they re-signed injury-prone safety Jimmy Ward to a fairly team-friendly 1-year prove-it deal, and emerging guard Mike Person, who gave up just 1 sack last year, to a 3-year $9 million deal. Solid moves there, but their best move was trading for Kansas City edge rusher Dee Ford. They got a dominant edge defender for just a 2nd round pick. Somebody of his talent would never make it to the 2nd round in any draft, so I have a lot of questions for the Chiefs on this deal. I guess they just really didn't want to pay him. But unfortunately for the 49ers, they released Reuben Foster while he was being accused of domestic violence again, and now he is on the Redskins and has a great opportunity to play against his former team in Week 7, and I love it. Looking into the past, the last time we played the 49ers, we barely beat them, 26-24 in 2017, a game we were expected to win before we even walked into it, so it was shocking for it to even be that close. But this time around, both teams are improved, and the 49ers have the 2nd pick overall, so they can easily add an elite player or trade back and get a few great ones. Either way, the 49ers will be a much better team just by next week after the draft. And I'm expecting a great game from this one, unlike the last time we played them, where it was just sluggish and sloppy. Week 8, we play the Vikings in Minnesota at 8:20 p.m. on Thursday, October 24th. The Minnesota Vikings can be a scary team if they get everything together. Their defense is built to suffocate offenses, and they have some electric weapons on offense in Adam Thielen, Stephon Diggs, and Dalvin Cook when healthy. But unfortunately, they overpaid Kirk Cousins, And not only is it hard to build a great team around a quarterback getting paid that large of a percentage of your cap space, but Kirk isn't as good as people thought, but as many of us Redskins already knew. Y'all problem now. Y'all can have it all. But the Vikings are making some moves to improve though. They recently re-signed wide receiver Adam Thielen to a 4-year, $64 million deal. He's a true underdog story, and I'm happy to see him get his money. And I know the Vikings are happy to have such a talented receiver signed for the next 4 years. They lost a good, strong safety in Andrew Sendejo to the Eagles, and they overpaid guard Josh Klein. They overpaid linebacker Anthony Barr too. Even though he is good at run support at the off-ball linebacker position, he can't cover anybody. They paid too much money for an off-ball linebacker they can't cover. They have the 18th, 50th overall picks in this coming draft, and their offensive line is so bad, they may need to use them both on offensive line. Looking into the past, the last time we played the Vikings, which was in 2017, they beat us 38-30. But we are two completely different teams now, and this game was scheduled for Thursday Night Football on purpose. People will be tuning in to watch Kirk Cousins go against his former team. I just hate how the Redskins play on October 20th and then again on October 24th. That's just not enough time to prepare for either team, but it's whatever. Can't avoid getting at least one of these in a season, but I'm looking forward to this being a good game with a lot of background story to it. A very passionate game, but it could very possibly be a low-scoring game with both defenses projected to be so good. I feel like we can win this game, but whoever the quarterback is will have to outplay Kirk Cousins. It will be the X versus the new one. Week 9, we play the Bills in Buffalo at 1 p.m. on Sunday, November 3rd. The Buffalo Bills are an interesting team. They have one of the best defenses in the league, easily, but their offense is stale. There's a lot of people who believe in Josh Allen, and I personally am not one of them. And they've made a lot of weird moves this offseason, both good and bad. Let's start with the good. They signed cornerback E.J. Gaines to an extremely team-friendly 1-year prove-it deal. He will start opposite of Tre'Davious White like the good old days of 2017. 2 shutdown corners, check. They also went and signed cornerback Kevin Johnson to a team-friendly 1-year prove-it deal. He has talent, but he has a big history of injuries. And important to us, they're the ones who took Ty Nsekhe from us. They signed him to a decent deal, 2 years, $14.5 million with $7.7 million of it guaranteed. Not a very good deal, but definitely not a bad one. Solid. And their other solid signings were getting wide receivers John Brown and Cole Beasley on some pretty decent deals. Not overpaid, but didn't get them at some sort of discount either. John Brown has speed to his game that previous quarterbacks throwing to him could not take advantage of. Josh Allen can though. Cole Beasley is better than people think. He just suffered from being thrown towards by a quarterback with inconsistent accuracy. It should be even worse with Josh Allen, unfortunately for Beasley. But hey, at least you can drop a mixtape to make yourself feel better. I feel like these two receivers have been slightly overpaid, but Josh Allen just needs any receiver he can get at this point after last season. He ain't had nothing last season. Now the bad. They signed center Mitch Morse to a deal worth more than his value and talent. He's pretty good, but he missed 14 games out of 32 the past 2 seasons. Plus, paying a center $11 million a year is kind of crazy in itself to me unless he's that guy. Like, that guy. Also, they signed Tyler Kroft to an extremely overpaid contract of $18.75 million over 3 years. He is a decent backup, bad starter. That's entirely too much money for him. He can't block well, and he only caught 4 receptions last year in the only 5 games he played. And then, even though they got Frank Gore on a team-friendly 1-year prove-it deal, why are they adding a 35-year-old running back to take the load off of a 30-year-old running back in LaShawn McCoy, who had a very off season last year? And the last mistake they made, they signed ex-Redskins center Spencer Long to a $13 million contract over a 3-year span? That is entirely too much money for him. Looking into the past, the last time we played the Bills was in 2015, and we beat them 25-35. I'm not expecting a score like this at all, unless there are some defensive touchdowns. I feel like we should win this game, but with both of our strengths being defense, this should be a low-scoring game. Sluggish fight. This won't be the kind of game casual fans can enjoy. And I put up a picture of us beating them in the Super Bowl just to flex on them. Week 10 bye week, thank goodness. No early bye week. Most injured team 2 years in a row. Common denominator, early bye weeks. Week 4 last year, week 5 the year before. Week 9 3 years ago, and we didn't have anywhere near as many injuries as the last 2 years. I believe there's a strong correlation with that. Give our team a 9-game stretch, a break, and then a 7-game stretch. Beautiful. Instead of that 3-game stretch, then 13-game stretch we had to deal with last year. That's just so terrible when you really think about it. The league hated. I don't know what we did to them. Why is that even legal? Week 11, we play the Jets in Landover at 1 p.m. on Sunday, November 17th. The New York Jets might be the most improved team of 2019. I hope people don't sleep on them, and I really hope the Redskins don't sleep on them. They took decent slot cornerback Brian Poole from the Falcons and signed him to a 1-year, $3.5 million prove-it deal. They re-signed tackle Steve McClendon to a very team-friendly deal, which makes sense because he is 33 years old. So expect him to begin to regress. But this is a good deal because of how cheap it is. All reward, no risk. And their biggest signing? Running back Le'Veon Bell to a 4-year, $52.5 million contract that has us looking at Le'Veon like, you missed an entire season of football just to get a little over $10 million a year? Le'Veon Bell will be fresh, and he still has a lot of great football ahead of him. With him only being 27 years old and skipping a season, I'm expecting him to be great. I know second-year Sam Darnold is happy. A great vision having, pass catching, pass blocking running back that can do everything you ask for him to do at the running back position. Literally just considered the best running back in the league just 2 years ago. Most people forget about that. And most important to us, they're the ones who took wide receiver Jamison Crowder from us. They signed him to a 3-year deal worth more money than I expect him to get. I miss him, but I'm so glad we did not sign him for $28.5 million with $17 million guaranteed like they did. That's crazy. They signed Trevor Siemian to a 1-year, $2 million deal to be Sam Darnold's backup. They better hope he never plays, though. Also, I don't know why they paid linebacker CJ Mosley $85 million over a 5-year period. He's very good against the run and can blitz very well. He is very good at those two things, but this is the type of money you give a linebacker that can cover well, which he cannot do. But to reverse it, another positive move by them was trading away a 5th-round pick for guard Keliki Osemele and a 6th-round pick. He has an injury problem, but when he is healthy, he's very good. And overall, the Jets had a promising offseason, and they hold the 3rd overall pick in the draft, with which they can either draft an elite prospect or trade back and draft several great prospects later on. We'll see though, but one thing I know for sure, this team will be improved from last year. Do not sleep on them. And looking into the past, we last played them in 2015 and got beat down 20-34. We got diddy, but we was getting diddied a lot in 2015, especially in the first 11 weeks, so it makes sense. But this is an interesting matchup in 2019. We are two teams that can easily be sneaky good in 2019, and even better, we play each other later in the year, so we'll already have a good feel of how good both teams are. We will both be as bad as many people think, or we can both be better than what most people expect. Or one of us just might dominate the other and make the game not fun. Week 12, we play the Lions in Landover at 1 p.m. on Sunday, November 24th. The Detroit Lions were not a good team last year, but they're not as bad as the 2018 record suggests, in my opinion. Another team it wouldn't be wise to sleep on. They aren't scary, but they aren't sorry either. Offseason wise, they signed running back CJ Anderson, who had some good years for the Broncos and saved the Rams last year in the postseason. They signed him to a 1-year prove-it deal. They also got cornerback Rashawn Melvin for the super cheap. Also on a 1-year prove-it deal, if he can stay healthy, which is a big if, he has the talent to have a serious impact for the Lions. But they did lose something big in that slot receiver Golden Tate that I mentioned earlier, who went to the Giants. Georgia dog Matthew Stafford just lost his favorite and most dependable target, so I'm expecting their offense to take a step back, at least the passing game wise. But they may get 1 or 2 of these many talented receivers in this draft that are expected to go between the 2nd and 4th rounds. Another L for them though is that they signed tight end Jesse James to a 4-year $25 million deal. Like what? That's too much money for him at least. But defensively, they did a great job of scooping up defensive end Trey Flowers to replace Ezekiel Ansah. Trey Flowers was possibly the most consistently impactful Patriots defensive player last year. And they paid him a lot of money, $82.5 million over 5 years, but he does fill a big need of theirs. But their worst defensive offseason move was paying slot cornerback Justin Coleman to a $9 million a year contract for 4 years. That's a lot of money for not only a slot cornerback, but it's even worse that it's him. But if that's what Detroit like, then I can't judge it. I hope All-Star JR and Smoke Camp Chino approved of this one. And looking into the past, the last time we played the Lions, they beat us 17-20. Close game? That's the game we fumbled twice. I think that was the Matt Jones game. That's crazy. Those are the crazy days, man. Kirk Cousins and Matt Jones. Man, that seems like it was so long ago. But we are a completely different team now. I predict us to win this game, but don't walk in there like Detroit sweet on that field. They might be able to make some things shake in this draft, especially with the 8th overall pick. Week 13, we play the Panthers in Charlotte at 1 p.m. on Sunday, December 1st. No Thanksgiving game? Thank goodness. I prefer to just eat, chill, spend time with my family and friends while having games on in the background. I shouldn't be stressed on Thanksgiving. But back to the Panthers. My boy Cam Newton, Westlake great, Southwest Atlanta representative. I know he still has a lot in the tank, even after his surgery late last year. He just needs to stay healthy and protect himself, even though the refs do be hating on my dog sometimes. He has a good offensive line in front of him, but he's used as a runner a lot in that offense, so he is in danger a lot. But speaking of the good offensive line, the Panthers re-signed offensive tackle Darrell Williams and center Matt Paradis to great contracts. And other than the offensive line and Cam Newton, who is still dynamic and has improved his accuracy some, the Panthers have Christian McCaffrey, who had a breakout season last year. They also have a really good defense being led by All-Pro linebacker Luke Kuechly. But they did lose some playmakers on the defensive side of the ball, like future Hall of Famer Julius Peppers and dependable linebacker Thomas Davis. They also lost wide receiver Devin Funchess, but they did re-sign safety Eric Reed to a decent contract worth $22 million over 3 years, and they have a sneaky good signing in edge Bruce Irvin. The Panthers are moving to a 3-4 defense, and even though Bruce Irvin has shown he can be really good in the 4-3, he can possibly be even better in the 3-4. Bruce is getting up there in age. They signed him to a 1-year, $4 million prove-it deal that should get the best out of him. The Panthers are going into this year's draft with the 16th and 47th overall picks, which will more than likely be used to find wide receiver and defensive back help. Looking into the past, the last time we played the Panthers, which was last year, we beat them 23-17. With a defensive final stand in the red zone. Great win. Very competitive game. Roller coaster ride, which is what I'm expecting to also be the case in 2019. Both of our defenses are strong, but both of our offenses can be helped a lot in this coming draft next week. So don't count out a game with quite a bit of scoring just yet. And week 14, we play the Packers in Green Bay at 1 p.m. on Sunday, December 8th. The Green Bay Packers are hard to figure out. They can either be really good or just bad. There was a lot of internal turmoil last year, which led to a lot of player and coaching changes. Longtime Packers head coach Mike McCarthy was fired and replaced with Matt LaFleur, an offensive-minded head coach who could very possibly be a good match for Aaron Rodgers. It's hard to count this team out when they have one of the best quarterbacks to ever do it. Also, they made some good signings this offseason, along with some bad ones. On the good side, they signed safety Adrian Amos to a really good contract in comparison to the other safeties who got paid this offseason. He's not only really good, but he is also coming from the Bears, a strong division rival. So that's 2 birds with 1 stone. Got him off the Bears and added him to their own team. Now for the bad to average signings. Starting with the average, the Packers slightly overpaid edge rushers Zadarius Smith and Preston Smith. They overpaid the Smiths, and yes, that's where Preston Smith landed, Redskins Nation. He will be able to face his former team, the Redskins, week 14 this year. But even though they were overpaid, they are young and could possibly get better than they already are, especially Zadarius, who has never had a full-time role in the defense yet. They get a chance to see how he performs with more snaps. And plus, Preston Smith has a very low amount of guaranteed money, so his deal isn't as bad as it looks when you actually dissect the contract with a microscope. But as far as bad signings go, the Packers gave offensive lineman Billy Turner $28 million over 4 years? He is a decent backup, so I don't understand why they gave him $7 million a year. I hope they don't want him to start. That's a tragic case for Aaron Rodgers if that's the case. But overall, they have a pretty good offensive line. They have Devontae Parker, who's a good wide receiver, with some decent receivers to help take some pressure off of him. With Randall Cobb leaving to go to the Cowboys anyway, they have a pair of decent to good running backs. And even with Clay Matthews leaving, their defense may have improved. And looking into the past, the last time we played them, which was last year, we showed out and had one of our best games of the season, especially offensively. We were actually taking shots down the field and everything. It was a great game to watch as a Redskins fan. I rewatch it from time to time to this day. This defense was hype and the offense actually tried to be dynamic. Like, they tried. I hope we can repeat that this year. And then week 15, we play the Eagles in Landover at 1 p.m. on Sunday, December 15th. Week 16, we play the Giants in Landover at 1 p.m. on Sunday, December 22nd. In week 17, we play the Cowboys in Dallas at 1 p.m. on Sunday, December the 29th. Already talked about them, so y'all already know it's up. It's up there and it's stuck there. They know what's coming for them this year. We don't even have to repeat it. Now overall, the schedule is pretty crazy. They finally gave us the bye week we begged for 2 years now. But this is a really tough schedule. 4 playoff teams in the first 5 weeks? And 2 of them won the last 3 Super Bowls? I'm not scared of no opponent. Never. But I just want to know why they threw all of this at us so early. I mean, we just trying to get our team together, man. There's no room for losing games in that middle part of the season. And we have to win a lot of the games that people don't believe we can. I have faith, and people asleep on how good our team can be when healthy. The Redskins weren't 6-3 with a clean 2-game lead over the rest of the division for no reason. Some of those 6-game wins were blowouts too, beating good teams and dominating bad ones. I mean, we did get embarrassed a couple of games, but we have retooled in free agency. We will bulk up on a lot of talent in the draft, especially if they follow my final mock draft coming soon, couple of days, and we may not be done with signings and trades. Quarterback Josh Rosen is still very much in play. Think about it. Our franchise quarterback for 2019 and beyond may not even be on the roster yet. We'll know a lot about how our season may go by the end of April. But I'm excited. I miss football. First of all, I love all of these 1 p.m. games. We have 14 of them. It's a sign that the NFL expects us to be very boring in 2019, but hey, I don't take any offense to it. I love 1 p.m. games. Also, I love how much of an underdog we are this season. It will make winning feel just that much better. It will taste so much sweeter when we have the TV and the radio analysts looking stupid. Hail to the Redskins, HTTR the hashtag. But that's it for this off-season episode of Redskins Report. Thanks for the view. I'm going to keep bringing y'all occasional updates on what the Redskins are doing throughout this entire offseason from December to August and beyond. This will include roster moves, draft prospects, scouting reports. I got y'all back. And I'm coming out with my final mock draft very soon. Make sure y'all get in them comments and let me know how y'all feel about the Redskins schedule and the opponents we face this season. What are your regular season record predictions? Do you feel like the Redskins will make it to the playoffs? And fans of other teams, y'all can get in them comments and talk y'all junk. I'll be in the trenches along with the rest of Redskins Nation to defend our team. Also, while y'all at it, make sure y'all Dolomite fake punch that like button, favorite, subscribe, I'll subscribe back, and most importantly, comment and share, even if you're not a Redskins fan. Just support a real one over here doing it. And again, thank y'all for the support. I'll catch y'all later. I'm out.